So Karen, you mentioned a little bit about failures, and not to start off on a sad or a down note, but I mean I think it's actually quite instructive. Is that like your current successful startup was born from a failure? I think that's kind of an essential. You hear a lot of stories like that. Can you talk a little bit about the origin and how you found this new approach?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons why it's nice to be with women is we can talk about our failures in a much more open way, right? So yeah, I was born and raised at Google. And when you are born and raised at Google, you are brainwashed to thinking that everything you do is gonna turn to gold because they print money there. I was in sales. It was like order taking, but fun. And you're also brainwashed into thinking that everything you're gonna do is going to be successful after Google. You've made amazing connections and you've built a great community, and I'm still very close friends with my Google crew to this day. They were all at my 50th birthday party, so like they're homies. And so when I left Google and YouTube, I had this idea actually. So I did 6 years on search and 4 years on YouTube. Google acquired YouTube in 2006. I hopped over the fence. I'm like, if that's way cooler, I'm going to work on that. So I went over there, monetized YouTube, and realized that the brands that I was working with were not interested in pre-roll. Like, they just weren't. So I invented, with a product manager, the first native video ads on the web. So branded entertainment.
Sounds like a great idea.
It's a brilliant idea, and we did it. And so that was awesome. So did that for a while, so I was kind of an intrapreneur, but it's very different from being an entrepreneur. An intrapreneur with Google's resources is like, I'm not saying it's easy, but it was, you got resources. So 10 years go by, they bring in this guy from Netflix who I love to run YouTube content. And I pitched this idea to him. I'm like, listen, it was the beginning of the trolls, the hate speech, the misogyny, the rape culture in the comment section of the female YouTube creators. So like, I'm watching a Smokey Eye video, which BT Dubs, I'm still kind of obsessed with them. And there's just disgusting comments. And advertisers, I was running the CPG business. And so the advertisers were like, we would love to have ads on these amazing, beauty creators. But they just couldn't do it. It was too risky. So that was the beginning of branded entertainment. But then, so I took it a next step further, and I said to my boss, I was like, listen, let's go through the entire library of YouTube videos, everything monetizable, made by women, and put a physical stamp on the video, like female creator, like made by a woman creator, or whatever it is. Quintuple the price, and please let me sell it to Unilever. Good idea, right?
Also seems like a great idea. Sure.
Exactly.
Can't
I'm full of them.
Can't fail.
I'm literally full of them. I can sell ice cubes to Eskimos. So, and he said, like, good idea, illegal. So, like, I guess, illegal, too much video, can't do it. I'm like, too much video, really? Okay, whatever. So I was like, I put this idea in my back pocket, YouTube for women without the trolls. And so I was planning on leaving YouTube after 10 years and going and doing it, and I'm gonna do long story medium here. My boss at Google went over to run AOL, they spun it off from Time Warner, ran it, he's like, please come over. He bought me out of the Google golden handcuffs, went over to AOL for 3 years, ran video over there, got them their first ever Emmy nod, and basically I was like, Tim, I will come if you give me a budget to fund female creators, and I will go monetize it. We did it, I did it, great. And for reasons I'm not really allowed to talk about, I left AOL after 3 years, loved it there, and started BeProud.tv, which was YouTube for women without the trolls. I have never been an entrepreneur before. I had never run a P&L, never written a business plan. I'm very good at standardized tests. When I went to the University of Wisconsin to major in African American Studies in 1992, I placed out of every math and science class I could because I didn't want to take them. And you could do that back then. I never took a business class. So had no idea what I was doing. I was like, how hard could this be? I have an amazing idea that I'm sure everyone wants. P.S. I did no research. And I don't think really anyone wanted the idea. I wanted the idea. But So did no beta testing, no research. Many reasons why we failed. Number one reason why we couldn't is because we couldn't raise capital. But in addition to that, the coaching and the know-how on entrepreneurship is a real ass thing. And in fact, I would argue not as important as the capital, but just under the importance of the capital, right? Knowing how to start a business and build a really cheap, ugly MVP that, raise your hand if you listen to Masters of Scale and Reid Hoffman. So Reid will always say, if your MVP is too pretty, you are late. And so like, you know, I'm not putting out some like ugly thing into the world. So I overbuilt. There was so many features that I thought everybody would want, overhired, over-engineered, the whole deal. And we were late to market. Product was fine. Didn't do any user testing because I didn't know what that was. I was from research. And then went out to raise VC when we had a product. So my first meeting was with Alan Patricoff. First meeting in venture capital. Bless his heart. I mean, really bless his heart. He really wanted to fund a female founder. This was, I mean, there was no women in the portfolio at that time. I don't know what it is now. It's probably better, but marginally. And so I had the connections. I could get into the room, right? So when you think about the funding problem, it's like access to capital, access to the people that write the check. I had that because of Google and because of the privilege of this color skin and because of where I live and all the things. So I go in and meet with Alan, and I had practiced my pitch and blah, 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 but the net was, I had no roadmap. I really didn't know what I was doing. And again, to Alan's credit, he was really trying to guide me, and he was like, come back in like 2 weeks, and I'm gonna bring my other people in, because he was like, you have a good idea here. They're just like, he was like, it was unfundable.
He identified, you had two problems as an entrepreneur. You couldn't get the capital.
Correct.
And you didn't have the expertise, the systems, the planning to launch the business, which kind of led you directly into your next business.
Correct. You're a very good moderator. Getting me into rambles, Dan. Good.
We didn't rehearse this.
Sure. I know. I'm a rambler though. This is good. Dan, you got my number. Okay, so we slogged along for 2 years, couldn't raise capital. We had some revenue because I was like monetizing my side hustle. And as a Hail Mary to save the company, we did a Kickstarter. I was like, how hard could this crowdfunding thing be? It looks easy. I know how to make video. I'm popular. This should be so easy. Magical money elves are gonna rain down on my campaign. Let's go. And that's not how crowdfunding works. I found out very quickly that crowdfunding is literally sales and marketing. It's when you, the entrepreneur, go out and sell go out and raise small increments of money from lots of people who you know in your personal, professional, and social network to add up to just enough to get your business off the ground or get your pivot funded or a new product launch. And the brilliance of crowdfunding that no one was talking about back then, because the top three crowdfunding, the top two, it was Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and it was white male creators in gaming, consumer tech, and film. Those were the highest grossing Kickstarters and Indiegogos. There was no crowdfunding platform for women. There was not one that would make your video for you, because that's one of the biggest barriers to entry, is getting us ladies in hair and makeup and on camera with a script and feeling confident. That's so much a big of a part of it, and then just teaching them how to do it. And it's literally just selling things to people who you know that want to buy it. And it doesn't matter if it has anything to do with your company. So I realized that in this Kickstarter, we finished the Kickstarter, I looked at my developer, Shilpa, I was like, Shilpa, we're sunsetting vProwd, we're propping up a crowdfunding platform. We did it on a WordPress site with a crowdfunding plugin, Squarespace, like pretty product marketing pages, and a early Slack community for customer service. We got 20 beta customers to try this like kludgy, we called it Frankenstein. To try Frankenstein, I sauntered onto Squawkbox. Is that our time? Are we done?
No, we've got time.
Amazing. I went onto Squawkbox a week before the 2016 election, being like, oh my God, I fund women. What timing? and launched the product. And, you know, who knows why, but it's been kind of going really well since then.
So before we get to the scale that you've reached, which I think is we definitely need to get to.
Yeah.
So tell some of the success stories. So you are, now you're enabling other people's businesses. Use some examples of like what you've done for people and what you've helped them accomplish.
So it's not, yes, I started the business, but I have a team. Hi, Mike. I have a team and lots of people that do this. So I am representing the company. It's very important for folks to know that. So we offer multiple ways to get funding on iFund Women. There's crowdfunding, there's sponsored grants that we broker through our platform. We built an ed tech, a coaching product where you can learn all the things about how to crowdfund and start your business. We have a video production studio, so we really listened to our customers and understood the barriers to starting up. And with that iFund Women method, which is what we call it. So is Jill Angelo here yet? Maybe she's not in yet. She's coming in from far, far away. Jill Angelo is one of our success stories. So Jill was just after our beta cohort. So Jill came to iFund Women in 2017, Microsoft product leader. She left Microsoft to start her menopause business. We can say the M word now, girls. Isn't that fun? You couldn't back then. 2017, like no one was talking about menopause, okay? So she saw that there was a massive problem. No one was talking about it. So she flew out to New York to get coaching in person. We shot her video. I taught her how to crowdfund. Again, it ain't rocket science. And she got in an Uber, got back on the plane. I got an email from Jill that is in one of our case studies that said, before signing up with iFund Women, I was ready to give up. Okay, and this is like a massive Microsoft product, like baller. So like, if we all have confidence gap issues, I do, Jill did, there's not one woman in this room who can say that she's never had a confidence gap issue. So she wrote me an email that said I was going to quit, issues with my co-founder, can't get funding, the men I'm pitching to are glazed over. You are the first time, iFund Women is the first time where I feel like my crazy idea has the opportunity to get past the launch pad. Fast forward, she raised a $4 million seed round. She exited her company to a very large healthcare company, and now is in network with Aetna and everywhere. The company's name is Gennev. So like, if she hadn't come to iFund Women, Gennev would not be here. And Gennev, it's telemedicine for menopause. Ladies, everybody, go check it out. And covered by insurance. So that is like a massive success story.
Yeah, and she may have had, just like you, came from a big company with a support network, with specialties, with other departments. You could get help from marketing, you could get help from finance. When you don't have that support, you need somebody to turn to and a network to turn to. I think we're gonna hear that theme a lot today. But I love that you had these shortcomings in your first startup, so you just created a startup to solve those shortcomings for other startups, thinking it might be a universal problem.
Absolutely. I mean, the universal problem is that women get 1.9% of venture capital. Women-founded businesses get 1.9%. Think about it. Male-founded businesses or co-founded businesses get 98% of all the venture capital. It's egregious. So that's the problem, right? And the funding problem is not just relegated to the VCs. Dan, if you and I had the same business, and same P&L, same tax returns, and we went into a bank to get a loan, you would get a loan with a higher amount, up to 40%, and I would get a higher rate. So the gender and racial biases that litter our financial services system are not just relegated to venture capital. So the way I look at iFund Women is we are actually rewriting the code on why women deserve to get funding. And there's been so much research and data out there on women outperforming men, on the bottom line for funds. I mean, we've all read it ad nauseum, but that research has not translated to venture funding dollars. The rise of women in VC has not translated to women getting more venture funding dollars. So we started iFund Women to kind of combat that and offer another way, right? And We've empowered 20,000 businesses out of our network of 320,000 members. 20,000 businesses have actually engaged with the coaching and the crowdfunding and the grants and all of that. Those 20,000 businesses have raised over $400 million in early stage capital that they would have never had access to otherwise. And those businesses have gone on to create 85,000 new jobs. So we're proud of it. These are small numbers, but we're proud of the impact we've been able to make by saying, like, we care. By hanging up the shingle, I Fund Women, which is like, we say we do what our name says. We were able to say, like, we give a hoot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you get to that. That's the thing that I found most remarkable when I first studying up on I Fund Women. I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's they're organizing crowdfunding. But the scale of how many companies you're working with, how many entrepreneurs you're working with, it's not hundreds, it's tens of thousands. And also, there are big brands that want to engage with these entrepreneurs. Maybe talk a little bit about that and some of that side of the business.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, talk about a funding flywheel. So we started with crowdfunding, which, you know, is a great way for people to get their businesses off the ground. Certainly is not going to pay the bills for I Fund Women, you know, on a 5%, fee. Then we built the ed tech, the coaching, because our customers were asking us for it through the Slack network. They were asking, well, I'll just leave that there. So that was another revenue stream. And it also, when women did the coaching, and Kate Luzio, I keep looking at your beautiful face. You're right in my eye line. We'll tell the story later. But Kate can attest, when you use the coaching, you raise 27 times more when you go to crowdfund on the platform. So that sort of started the funding flywheel, adding another opportunity to learn. And then brands came in, and Novartis, Allergan Aesthetics, Unilever's Caress brand, and I'm also like, thank you, this video ever goes anywhere. Visa in 35 countries and in 19 languages, American Express, Squarespace, Adidas, the list goes on. So brands started to come to us to say, we know that you own the market for women entrepreneurs. They are in our, customer segment. Like, we've done research, we want to target entrepreneurs. How can we work with you? And Novartis was actually the first, which was really interesting, because we're not a media company. We don't do this. I wish we did. Like, they want us to. So the way we ended up working with them was through sponsored grants. So we said, okay, Novartis, Alcon, Sustain lubricant eye drops that Barbara Corcoran represents. So that kind of made sense. Do a grant program. We'll create a custom application. You guys can. Barbara has so much to talk about now. In Us Magazine, on the Today Show, it was giving them something to talk about at first. It was really like a PR play. But for us, it was just funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars directly through the platform to our customers and members. So that really supercharged the funding flywheel. And then the numbers got bigger. So then Visa came, and the numbers got much larger. American Express came, Unilever came, and they all wanted to target different types of women. So the interesting thing is, we've got B2B brands and banking brands that obviously want SMBs to be their customers. But then you've got we're women. We make 80% of the household purchasing decisions. Our customers are 75% women of color. They are the cream of the crop. 34% of them have a PhD. These women are beyond, their high household income, over 100K. They're working at FANG companies. I know it's kind of a dated term, but they're working at massive corporates and starting their business at I Fund Women in their 20% time, because my first piece of advice is don't quit your day job yet. You don't know if this business is gonna work. Do not quit your day job with the great benefits and the great salary until we know your business is gonna work. So we have the best customers, and all of these brands want access, and we charge them a lot of money for it. And they do a lot of money for grants, so.
It's a fascinating model, and I think it's a great place to start a conversation today, because we're gonna have a lot of conversations about entrepreneurship, building a network, getting that expertise, overcoming the confidence gap. Karen, thanks so much for coming today, and thanks so much for co-hosting this and helping us build the program. It's a better program for it. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
Let's give it up
Dan.
for Karen Kahn.